me, financial security and being smart financially is really, really important. So he's trying to pin everything on me. It makes me so mad because he didn't know it. He was doing it behind my back. He kept telling everybody these stories. And I'm like, no.
That was a private conversation. I was in pain. I never intended for Janelle to go telling Christine what I thought about her during our breakup.
Sister Wives star Meri Brown and Kody Brown's post-divorce interactions are the very definition of secondhand embarrassment. The forced laughter, the strange pseudo-flirtation while moving boxes, and Meri's repeated favorite ex-wife comment, it's the kind of awkward that makes you want to shield your eyes. Sure, maybe it's meant to be a moment of levity after years of heaviness, but wow, it's more cringe than catharsis. Part of what makes it so hard to watch is their jarring shift between goofy antics and gut-wrenching confessions. 1 minute they're cackling like it's a sitcom, and the next, in their solo interviews, they're casually dropping bombs about how miserable the marriage was. It's whiplash-inducing. Kody's manic energy around other men doesn't help. He's practically vibrating with an odd, performative friendliness, while Meri's giggling feels like a defense mechanism, one that only gets more uncomfortable the longer it drags on. That scene where she backs into him and they both erupt into endless, awkward laughter, it felt like watching a bad improv skit that refused to end. And let's be honest, Kody's friendly act feels less like reconciliation and more like strategy. It's hard not to think he's angling to keep Meri on side, so she won't demand her financial share or align with Janelle. But that ship has clearly sailed. Every time Meri repeated that sad favorite ex-wife line, it got harder to watch. It was like she was trying to convince herself it was funny, even though it wasn't. The whole thing felt forced, like a bad joke told in the middle of a sinking ship. We've got so much to dive into today, so let's not waste any time. Let's jump straight into it. Hey everyone, what's up? It's Elena here, and welcome back to my channel Reality Nexus X. Kody may be a master manipulator, but Robyn? She's in a league of her own. She played the game flawlessly, right from the start. Marrying a man with a reality show was her first move, and from there, she hit every calculated milestone. First, she had the family pay off her $30,000 debt, then orchestrated Kody's legal divorce from Meri so she could secure the coveted legal wife spot. And let's not forget, her kids already had a father, but she managed to convince him to relinquish his parental rights so Kody could swoop in as their new dad. Every step of the way, Robyn made sure she upgraded her status, all while playing the helpless victim. She didn't just marry into the family, she upgraded her entire life. She got a more elaborate wedding, a lavish honeymoon, and a house filled with overpriced art that screams more money than taste. She scored an ostentatious bedroom set, never worked a real job, had a nanny despite having fewer kids than the other wives, and eventually landed herself a mansion. And all this while tearfully lamenting the struggles of plural marriage. She wasn't mourning the loss of sister-wife unity, she was securing exactly what she wanted. The irony, Kody, who always thought he was the puppet master, got thoroughly outplayed. It's almost comical, almost. The tragedy is that the other 3 wives were collateral damage in Robyn's rise to the top. Robyn's moves would make her a Monopoly champion, but her downfall is that her actions never matched her words. That's why her credibility is in tatters. She sold herself as the humble, self-sacrificing wife, but her every move has been about self-promotion and gain. Kody may still think he's in control, but Robyn has outpaced him in both manipulation and narcissism. And while they might be laughing all the way to the bank, the cost is high. They're estranged from the original 3 wives, and even if they mend fences with the kids someday, those relationships will never fully heal. Maybe they don't care, but they should. Reputation matters. Lately, there's been a suspicious surge of posts painting Robyn as misunderstood and overly criticized. You know the ones. Fans are too hard on her. She's actually so kind. And other attempts to rewrite the narrative. But come on, we've watched her for 19 seasons. We've seen the tears, the manipulation, and the steady climb to the top of the family hierarchy. No amount of PR spin can erase what we've witnessed. The idea that Robyn is just a pretty, shy, misunderstood wife? Please, viewers have eyes, ears, and long memories. It feels like Kody&Robyn hired a PR team to scrub their tarnished image, and it's painfully obvious. New users with fresh accounts are popping up in comment sections, spewing negativity about Janelle and Christine while pushing pro-Robyn narratives. They're all using the same tone, verbiage, and love for all to piss. When called out, they scramble to delete their comments. Coincidence? Highly unlikely. This so-called redemption arc isn't fooling anyone. Fans aren't forgetting the years of manipulation or the blatant favoritism just because a few suspect accounts claim Robyn is some misunderstood saint. If anything, it's making people more skeptical. Nice try, though. There's little doubt that Kody&Robyn siphoned off more than their fair share of the family finances. While Christine, Meri, and Janelle scraped by, Janelle even living in what amounted to a student apartment, Robyn enjoyed life in $1 million McMansion. And seriously, has Robyn ever had a real job? Meanwhile, Christine and Janelle hustled, raising kids who worked through high school and college to contribute. The disparity is glaring. A plausible theory: Kody was probably skimming money off the top, posing as the CDO of their family empire. Every paycheck the family received likely had a percentage funneled directly into covering Robyn's luxury expenses. Think maxed out credit cards, gaudy furniture, and that oversized house. Without a forensic accountant, we'll never know the exact amount stolen, but it's clear the OG wives weren't seeing much of it. It's no surprise Kody always feared being broke. His narcissism likely drove him to hide assets from everyone, including Robyn. He's too cunning not to be prepared for a possible split, knowing she could demand child support and alimony. The show frequently emphasized that the family's income was pooled, with Kody as the ultimate financial gatekeeper. When Meri asked for money to invest in her bed and breakfast, we saw how tight the purse strings were, unless, of course, Robyn wanted something extravagant. It's clear the shared pot always leaned in favor of Kody&Robyn's lavish lifestyle. If fraudulent spending was happening, and it almost certainly was, the OG wives were the ones left paying the price while Robyn reaped the rewards. Kody's obsession with Robyn might look like love on the surface, but it's anything but romantic. Sure, he dotes on her in a way that's oddly possessive, and it probably seems nice to have someone so devoted, at least in his twisted, Kody-centric way. But love? Not quite. It's more like codependency mixed with control. He's not her doting husband. He's her captor in a gilded cage. Robyn may stay, but it's not for love. She stays because she's carved out a life where everything is handed to her. No job, no housework, no heavy lifting when it comes to raising the kids. She lounges in a mansion surrounded by her collection of knickknacks and comforts, with Kody there to serve as her constant, albeit controlling, companion. Why would she leave? She's living an easy life at the expense of everyone else. Listen closely to how Kody speaks about Robyn. The words might seem affectionate, but the tone and cadence reveal something darker. It's not love, it's ownership. There's a subtle resentment in the way he talks about his life, like he knows deep down he's trapped too. Behind closed doors, I doubt their conversations are all sunshine and devotion. It's likely more transactional, maybe even bitter. In the end, what they have isn't a love story. It's a power dynamic. Kody needs control, and Robyn enjoys the benefits of letting him think he has it. There's definitely an argument to be made that Kody's relationship with Meri was sabotaged by Robyn's calculated interference. In the early seasons, it's clear Kody did care for Meri in his own way. They had a bond built over decades, and Meri likely stayed so long because she believed, deep down, that things would eventually circle back to the way they were. But Robyn played the long game, and she knew that keeping Meri and Kody apart was key to solidifying her dominance. Robyn's influence over Kody grew stronger, especially during the COVID era when she kept the family fractured under the guise of safety. Even Kody seemed reluctant about the extreme distance from Meri, but Robyn had him wrapped around her finger. By the time Kody finally cried over his relationship with Meri falling apart, it felt more like regret over lost control than lost love. Janelle was spot on when she said Meri is loyal to a fault. That loyalty, symbolized by the infamous necklace, kept Meri tethered to a relationship that had long since turned toxic. But it wasn't just love that held her there, it was obsession. There's a fine line between the two, and Meri's fixation on rekindling what they once had crossed that line. She endured years of neglect, public humiliation, and emotional manipulation, clinging to the hope that things would return to normal. Unfortunately, no self-respecting, independent person would tolerate what Meri endured. Kody wasn't just indifferent, he was cruel. But Robyn ensured Meri's hope was kept on life support just long enough for her to lock down her own position. Whether Kody ever truly loved Meri by the end is debatable, but it's clear that Robyn's machinations made sure any lingering connection was severed beyond repair. It's hard to deny that Sister Wives backfired spectacularly in ways the Browns likely never anticipated. Sure, they claimed the show was about seeking understanding, proving that polygamy could be a loving, functional lifestyle. But what it really exposed was dysfunction, favoritism, and cracks in the family's foundation. While they hoped to garner sympathy for their struggles, it's clear the real motive, especially for Kody, was money and attention. Kody's love for the spotlight is undeniable. He probably envisioned himself as the charismatic patriarch of a beloved family, basking in the glow of reality TV fame. But more than that, the show gave him the financial means to afford his fourth wife, Robyn. Let's be real, before TLC, how could a man with a billboard sales job afford 4 wives and 18 kids? Even with Janelle's income, the math never added up. The show was a golden ticket, not just to visibility, but to a lifestyle upgrade. For the wives, it was a double-edged sword. Publicly, they framed it as a way to come out of hiding and destigmatize polygamy. Privately, though, it offered a chance to quit their part-time jobs, boost their incomes, and elevate their standard of living. They likely didn't anticipate the long-term consequences. Being thrust into the public eye cost their kids opportunities, like Maddie's rejection from the LDS Church, and exposed the inner workings of a family that wasn't nearly as harmonious as they wanted the world to believe. The irony is that most of the kids, those the show was supposed to benefit, wanted out as soon as they could. They've spoken openly about rejecting polygamy and watching their father prioritize Robyn while neglecting the rest of the family only reinforced their decision. Meri's struggles as an empty nester, Janelle's bare-bones lifestyle compared to Robyn's luxury, and Christine's eventual departure all point to a family fractured by the very thing they thought would unite them. In the end, Kody did get what he wanted, fame and financial security, at least for a while. But the cost was the family's cohesion, respect, and credibility. If they thought the world would see polygamy as a wonderful lifestyle, the reality proved far messier, and no amount of PR spin could hide the obvious. The show didn't prove polygamy works. It proved that, at least for the Browns, it doesn't. Janelle's Casita plan was ambitious, but in hindsight, more of a push to force Kody into action than a fully thought-out off-grid venture. She wasn't planning on roughing it with solar panels and a composting toilet. Her hope was to tie into the existing electric grid in the subdivision. In fact, there's an episode where she mentions the electric company wouldn't install the necessary pole until they started building, which she assumed could happen while she lived in the RV. She likely underestimated how long the permits, grading, and other logistics would take, perhaps assuming Kody would finally step up. The reality, though, was more complicated. Janelle would have needed permits, grading, a cistern, and a propane tank, all while navigating the risk of losing everything if the family's financial situation worsened. Her frustration seemed to stem from watching Robyn live in luxury while her own basic needs, like the RV pad, went unmet. She saw Robyn's McMansion as a financial black hole, rightfully so, considering its cost was nearly double that of Christine's home. The situation with Robyn's house highlighted the ongoing inequities. Why couldn't Robyn's kids share rooms or live more modestly, especially if they truly wanted to embrace polygamy? Dayton and Aurora could have commuted from a smaller home or even stayed with Meri, but instead, Robyn and Kody prioritized luxury over practicality, contradicting the very principles they claimed to value. Ultimately, much of this seemed staged for the show. The idea of Janelle roughing it or building a casita gave the illusion of progress, but the underlying dynamics exposed that the Browns were more about appearances than actual polygamous unity. Janelle's push for the casita was less about living off the grid and more about demanding some agency in a family structure that clearly favored Robyn's comfort over everyone else's needs. Kody's claim that he never loved his wives, aside from Robyn, feels like a revisionist history designed to absolve himself of responsibility. But the truth is on tape. We've seen the tenderness in his eyes, the genuine joy he once felt in their presence. Think of Solomon's birth, Meri holding the baby, Kody's face glowing with unmistakable love. That wasn't fake. In the early seasons, he looked at all his wives with affection, even if it was complicated. It's possible that love faded over time, which happens in many relationships, but to deny it ever existed? That's not just cold, it's heartbreaking. It makes Kody seem like someone who's lost touch with his own humanity, choosing ego over truth. Admitting he once loved them wouldn't weaken him, it would make him more relatable, even sympathetic. Instead, by erasing those feelings, he paints himself as a man who's willing to rewrite history to suit his narrative, no matter how cruel. Why deny those memories? Love, even when it's gone, can be a source of comfort. It's what makes life richer, more meaningful. Kody's refusal to acknowledge it feels like a desperate attempt to justify his actions, but it only serves to highlight his sadness. In trying to protect his pride, he's denying himself, and everyone who once loved him, the chance to cherish the good that once was. And that is truly the saddest part of all. It's easy to get caught up in the drama and target Robyn for the dysfunction within the Brown family. But it's important to take a step back and remember that she, too, is a real person. Sure, she's made mistakes, and yes, her behavior has raised eyebrows, but the level of cruelty directed at her, especially when it comes to mocking her appearance, is unnecessary and, frankly, unkind. No one deserves that kind of treatment, regardless of how they're portrayed on TV. Blaming Robyn solely for the family's issues misses the bigger picture. Kody has been the driving force behind much of the dysfunction. He was never fully committed to his other relationships, and even without Robyn, he would likely have found someone else to meet his needs. The problems within the family run much deeper than just her presence, and it's time for people to acknowledge that. Yes, Robyn has put her life on display for the world to see, and yes, she has made choices that have contributed to the situation. But at the end of the day, she's still a person with her own set of complexities. If she really wanted to step away from the public eye, she could, but her decision to stay on the show and continue filming is a choice. While it may seem that she's in it for the fame and money, it's important to remember that reality TV is a complicated industry, and she's not the only one benefiting from it. Robyn is far from perfect, but she's also human. The conversation needs to shift from blame and personal attacks to understanding the deeper issues at play within the entire family dynamic. It's not just about her, it's about how the family has navigated, or failed to navigate, their relationships over the years. Let me know what you think in the comments. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to my channel. I'll see you in the next video. Take care and much love to you all.